Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Leslie, if you haven't been here before. And today's video is part one of a two-part. We are going to share the screen, and I will show you how I create in the Xtool Creative Space. There are many options, but the one that I find is easiest for me is to have a look through Design Find. Now, if you look at the screen here, up on the left-hand side is the word Design Find. And when you go in there, you get a whole community of designs: wood, paper, uh, metal, acrylic, anything that the machines that Xtool provides can be, and that they any materials that the machines that Xtool provides to be able to cut are in here. And the way I narrow it down is I go up to the top. There are so many projects, so many people with great talent donate to Design Find. And there's a filters button. And what I do is I click on community created projects. These are the projects that are free to use. They are perfect for people who are just starting out, because if you make a mistake, it is just the cost of the wood. Like if you decide the mistake is that you really don't like that design, you haven't paid money for it. It was free, and you have every right to not use it again, even if you pay for it. But that feels to me like money's sitting there being wasted. Okay. So I like to look through the free projects first, and there is always a lot of them. Under Valentine's banner, there is 302 projects. However, for today, I am going back to my design area and I'm going to create my own basic banner. So what I want is four 4x4 squares. And to get my squares, I go over to the left-hand side as I look at the screen and I click Shape. That opens this panel. And there is a big selection that you can use. What I am going to use is the basic shapes. And I'm going to go with just this one right here. And then I'm going to hit this little arrow and put that away. Now I am going to highlight this little box. I'm going to go up here to where you see the chain link or lock aspect ratio, and I'm going to unlock it so that when I put in my size, it does not automatically put in its own size for the other component. And there we go. 4x4 is the size that I want my squares. And I need 4 of them, so I'm simply going to copy and paste now that I've showed you how to do that. And it was that simple. Now, I'm going to take these 4 squares and I'm going to remove 3 of them to the gray area and leave 1 here. It will be my working box. I would like text for the middle of my box, so I am going to bring it in and I am simply going to type LVE. I am very aware that I did not type the O, okay? You guys know where I'm going with this. Whoops. Let me delete that and bring in the L again. You know where I'm going with this. I am simply going to go ahead and size this L. Can you guess what I'm going to use for the O? I think you know where I'm going with it. I'm going to size it to the point that I like it. And then I'm going to take it down actually to 2 inches on this side. So my width will actually be 2 inches, and it will be my common denominator. So let's go back here. Let's add another text, and let's go with the V. On the width, I'm going to put 2 inches, and I'm just going to do that. And it should, whoops, fit almost perfectly in the box. There we go. Let me bring it down there. So there we have our V, and now we need our E. So once again, we're going for text and typing in the E, highlighting it and putting the width at 2 inches and expanding it. Now, as you can see, my E and my L are pretty well the same size, and my V looks a bit smaller. So I am going to bring it up to where it needs to be to fit with these guys. And I think it could even go a bit bigger. Let me check my height on my L. It's 352. Oh, if I go 352 on this one, it's going to be huge, so I'm not going to. Just going to place it over the top and make sure that they kind of line up. Let's get it as close as possible without going off the sides. There we go. That's perfect. So now we have our letters. And as I said, I would like you to take a wild guess at what the last one is going to be. I think you guys know. I think you realize that I'm going back into my shapes and I'm picking the basic heart. And then I'm putting my shapes away again, and I'm going to size my heart up to the point that I want it. And he's gone, or she, or it is going to be a bit bigger. There we go. And it was that simple. These are all just simple basic shapes to create a basic banner, okay? I will kind of show you. When you right click on here, you highlight your shapes and you right click, you get all your selections. If you're familiar with Cricut or Silhouette, you get basically the same options. What you do not get is the center option. So I go up here to the top, and there is an arrange and there is a alignment. And I'm going to align center, okay? There we go. And I'm going to move it, whoops, come on, over here. I highlight, I hold the left mouse button down, and I move it. Now I'm going to bring in another square, and I will find my L, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Back up to the align, which is on the top row, and align center. Perfect. And then, of course, we're going to do our V, bring it down, highlight, and align center. So basically, if you've ever used any of the design programs, you will find this very easy to use. There we go. Those are going to be my pieces. Now, you're looking at me thinking, it's not going to do anything. It says modify parameters on the works side of things. And you're right, it's not at this point. At this point, we click on modify parameters and our selections come up, okay? Right-hand side, modify parameters. You want to do this. And what you're going to tell the program right now is that you are going to cut these out. If you were to score these, it would just draw like a line like a pencil would. If you were to engrave, you would get a square colored in box. But if you are to cut for each and every one, it will cut them out, okay? So let's watch that again. Choose cut. Here we go. I'm going to choose them one at a time. And we are going to add our power and speed. And the way we do that is by up in the right-hand corner, top right, selecting 3mm basswood. And these are the options that it gives you. I use a 10-watt laser, and it suggests that number 5, the middle, is perfect, and it always has worked for me, so that is the one that I will use, okay? So perfect there. That's that one. Then we'll go to the L. Same thing. We're going to click and number 5. And I do it for each piece just for my peace of mind, because I want to be sure that I have set them up all the same, that nothing is different about them. Okay? This gives me peace of mind that they will be cut the way that I want them to be. You can always just group and cut, and that should work. But see, it's now put it all in one group. You can see over here on the right-hand side, it's all cut, it's all 90%, and it's 5mm. Okay? And that is exactly what we want. Now, do I want to cut all 4 squares at the same time as I'm cutting my letters? No, and I will tell you why. Whoops. Because, quite simply, I am going to use scrap wood for my letters. I have so much scrap wood left from stuff that I did over the holiday season that I have no reason not to start using it up. Alrighty, so give me one moment and I will be right back with you and we'll have it set up. For you, it will be a moment. For me, it'll be a couple of minutes. I'll be right back. So the first thing that we have to do before we cut is we have to measure the distance between the wood and the laser head. But first it's going to ask you to start homing. And what happens here is that the laser head moves into the upper left corner of the machine. And it knows that it's starting right there. But it's not going to work, like it will work on the area that I tell it to work on for my scrap wood. So now we want to measure perfect. It has measured the distance. And now we are going to mark the processing area. And I'm going to choose rectangle. I always choose rectangle. And now you can see everything is blank. I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to mark the area in which I want to work first, because this piece of wood has multiple areas where it's being cut out. So I use every little bit of my wood. There is no fooling around about this. So now I have marked my areas and I hit end marking. And I hit done and it takes me back to the main screen. And that black is exactly where I place my first item to be cut out. Okay? And it's only going to cut the one item. None of this has any area to cut on, only inside your outlined area. Now I go down here to the bottom right and I hit process. And it comes up and it's talking to the machine and doing everything that it needs to. Okay? And it tells you you have a path that it is going to follow. It shows you the path and it gives you the processing module position. Now I am going to go up to the upper right and I'm going to hit start. Remember, it is only cutting the L, and I will go over and push the start button. That is the machine that you hear that has cut in, and it is going to take 1 minute. The other sound you hear is my fan system. I did purchase a indoor filtration system to use so that I didn't have to leave my window open during the cold Canadian summers or winters. During the summer, I will probably just go ahead and open the window venting area and not use the bigger fan. Okay. That is our L all cut out. And now I can set up to do our O. So in order to move on, I just hit complete. Okay. And I move my L out. I do not need it anymore, but I'm not going to get rid of it in case I do have to recut it. So the L is done. Now what I do in order to move on to the next part is I ask it to mark the processing area again. And to do that, I delete the marked area so that black square will disappear. And I will mark the new area. And it's just going to be the same thing. Pick the rectangle and start marking. If you were using a round door sign, you would choose the round circle piece, right? All right, I have marked that idea or that area in the hopes that it will fit my heart. And it does perfectly. All right, so there we go. We are set up for our next cut. We are going to hit process, just waiting for the moment when it comes up, and hit start. Then you go over to the machine and you hit the silver button. And it starts cutting. And basically, that is what you're going to do for each item. If you wanted to use a full sheet of wood and cut out more than one item at a time, of course you can do that. I am trying to use up my, or let me rephrase that. If you wanted to use a full sheet of basswood and cut out more than one of our items at a time, of course you can do that just by having more than one on the screen. I am choosing to do one at a time, so I use up my scrap wood. And that's how easy this program is. Okay? I want you to understand that. It is not complicated. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to ask me. If I don't know the answer, I would certainly love to learn more and will find the answer. And that is it for today. I am going to carry on with what I am doing. And on Friday, we will assemble our banner. Thank you for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.